It's my great pleasure to be chatting with James Allt-Graham. James is the partner at GRA Supply Chain. James, thanks very much for joining us today's Fireside Chat, Solution Partner Showreel. James, it's said out there in the e-commerce world that the battleground of e-commerce, of retail really, is going to be won or lost in supply chain. Tell us a bit about GRA Supply Chain, a bit about yourself, and how it's all going out in the field.
Yeah, sure, Paul. I mean, it's a really interesting time at the minute, obviously, given the amount of change that's going on in retail, and I think it's particularly exciting when we see the way that technology is enabling greater efficiency and effectiveness, the way that we can tailor customer offerings more effectively than ever before. So yeah, it's a really interesting time to be in the supply chain space. Yeah. And of course, all of our industries and markets are very competitive, so that tension's there. Yeah. For us at GRA, our focus is really on helping clients unlock value through their supply chain. So whether that's cost, whether that's about improving their customer service, and really doing that in a very practical way. So being able to conceptualise quite complex problems and ideas and issues. And when we look at the fragmentation of many supply chains, they are very complex now.
Indeed.
But then being really practical about, so how do we implement and execute change? What's the technology that's required? What's the organisation that's required around it, so that we actually get the outcomes that we're looking for, rather than it being a sort of never-ending consulting project. So really our focus is on that idea to execution. And personally, I've been lucky through my career to have had the opportunity to consult with organisations in Australia and overseas, and also run businesses and be on the executive team for a very large business in Australia. So that I guess mix of having been there, done it, it really, I think, helps you consult, and especially when you're driving change, it's quite difficult for many clients.
You've been on both sides. And so talk to us about the size of client that GRA would generally work with. So for the retailer on the other side, having a look at this video, what's your market? Who do you work with?
So there's broadly two groups, I guess, of clients. So one is those that are large, complex, have a lot of issues, and therefore they tend to use consultants to help work through those. So we're thinking of the Aldis, the Woolworths, those sorts of organisations. But there's then organisations who are just facing a lot of change internally. For example, obviously omni-channel, automation within warehouses. Some of those skills retailers don't have on board every day, and so they'll tend to engage with us on that level. So I guess the key feature is the client's trying to drive change and make a difference that the supply chain can unlock, and then we sort of play into those issues.
And I really like that idea of unlocking. I mean, I'm a diehard retailer, 40 years in the game, and often, in our day-to-day business, there's real nuggets of gold there that we just don't always know how to mine or know where to find it. So I love the idea of you coming in there and just finding that gold. It's all over.
It's often the way is that there's leading practices within every business, and sometimes it's shining a light on those and working out what's the broader scalability for that idea, whether it's across different brands, whether it's across different store formats, etc. So certainly looking for those internal best practices is great, but also bringing together what are some of those external better practices and trying to drive challenge through any of the transformation processes is really important.
And I follow some of your thought leadership pieces. I mean, it's such a resonant theme and so challenging for retailers. Onliners are going offline, offliners are coming online. Finding that convergent moment and that integration, it's all very well to talk about it. As you say, it's tough in the execution, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's also about defining strategically what's your own race. It's very easy to say, well, we want to look like a different organisation, but you've got a customer set, you've got a physical footprint often, you've got a brand. How do you leverage that, given some of those challenges in the market? So that's certainly part of what I think is really exciting. And as I mentioned earlier, the technology piece is really playing a massive role now, both from a sort of planning perspective and the physical environment in the warehouse.
I think if you're using technology, you're ahead of the game, but if you're not, I think it's going to start hurting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, I mean, you still see a lot of retailers, doing a lot of their merchandise planning in Excel and spreadsheets, and really when you look at...
You're looking at one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're looking at opportunities,
yeah.
You really need to be moving forward from that and applying a lot of smarts to those processes.
And James, GRA supply chain, you've got a good-sized team on the ground here in Australia. Are you a global business?
So we're primarily focused in Australia. So we have offices in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Canberra.
Great.
But we do quite a lot of work in New Zealand and in the region.
Gotcha.
Tends to be where clients have a need for us up there or we have relationships.
Yeah.
But certainly it's something that we'll be looking forward into the future as to continue to grow the business. But there's certainly a lot going on in Australia at the minute, which is keeping us fairly focused here.
Fantastic. And talking about a lot going on in closing, there are a couple of shout-outs that I would like to do. We've got our inaugural CEO symposium coming up on the 7th of August. All the Tier 1 retail leadership will be there. I think they've responded very well to getting together for catalysing, and we're very grateful to GRA for supporting that. So.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I think the quality of the people attending just sort of really calls out the fact that people are looking for opportunities to network and discuss some of the big issues in that sort of a forum. So no, it should be a really good event, so thank you.
Couldn't agree with you more. And of course, a bit of a shout out then for late October, the Solution Partner Excellence Award. We'd love to see GRA supply chain in the ring, voted for by retailers. So
we'd love to be there.
Twist your arm as well as on that one. Well, this has been a very brief chat with James Allt-Graham, who's the partner from GRA Supply Chain. James, thanks very much for the chat. And
thanks very
for your
much,
support
Paul. Thank you.
of the NORA network.